Hello there, how are you doing? I am back after quite an absence from being on YouTube and on LinkedIn in video format for reasons which become clear in the not too distant future, I am sure. I am now back and ready to talk about what's happening in the world of tech. Not so much what's happening in the world of Hong Kong at the moment. We have the critical infrastructure law about to come into force. We've had some terrible news here, some awful things have happened involving a large fire. I'm sure you saw that in the news. It's been really, really sad and really awful. But otherwise, things are trundling along in Hong Kong as usual. Things seem to be going okay apart from that fire. We just had a brilliant music festival, for example, Clockenflat, where I saw one of my favourite bands, Bright Eyes, up close, which was great. That's not here what I'm about to talk about. This is a mixture between my normal predictions video, and I only have one, and really a statement on what's going on in the world of AI and on the world of technology in general. Now, I read a book that I'd been waiting for a long time by Cory Doctorow this year. I'll hold it up for you so I can avoid swearing. It's this book. Essentially a treatise on why platforms, why technology, why things that we use and we enjoy and that we invest in slowly and slowly get worse and worse. They stop helping us, the users, and they start helping the shareholders, the company who owns them. We've seen this across the board. People who remember the early days of Facebook, it was something that was quite cool. It was great. You could keep in touch with people. You could meet up create Facebook groups. I remember that was a thing which was actually quite a good thing rather than just a way to harvest people's information. And slowly and surely it became just an advertising platform to rip off your data and sell it to someone else. Same happened with Twitter. Best said about Twitter, the least said about Twitter, perhaps the best. And it happens with all platforms. It even happens with shopping platforms. We see some of it in terms of how Amazon works, but we've got these new shopping platforms coming out of China, Temu and Shein, which basically sells cheap tat, ships at a terrible cost to the environment around the world, and displaces people. It's basically people selling really decent products in their home territory. It's not good. It's this whole feeling that everything seems to be getting slightly worse. What I'm wondering, as 2025 comes to a close and people are seeing that now at the end of the year, will there be a pushback? Is 2026 going to see the year where we say, well, actually, AI is great and all, but we're seeing lots of people being displaced? Lots of people are losing their jobs. If you worked in the tech industry this year, you almost certainly had a terrible, terrible time. So many people have been laid off. One or two people have been paid astronomical, basically huge salaries, mainly by people like Mark Zuckerberg, to try and find a way to general intelligence, thereby probably replacing everyone. We've had this talk about universal basic income once again, which is basically saying, look, if everything is done by AI and people aren't really needed anymore, don't worry, we'll make sure you get some crumbs to live on, and that's it. We basically go for something like Soylent Green, the movie, based on Make Room, the sci-fi book, which I can't remember who it's by now. It might be Harry Harrison, but do not quote me on that. I may be wrong. I'll put a little thing that says if I'm right in the video. But it may be that we're going that way. And one of the things that's really hit me, I mean, I'm used to it with AI. It's essentially, it's going to consolidate. We will have fewer and fewer AI platforms doing everything. That's clearly the goal of the likes of Google. That's clearly the goal of OpenAI. That's clearly the goal of Anthropic, two of which are bound to have one of the record IPOs in the not too distant future, make an absolute fortune for their founders, an absolute fortune for shareholders in the long run. We'll find in terms of respect to IP, respect to people's rights, that AI just rides roughshod all over it. And I've been using AI off and on. I've been doing lots of talks on AI, and it's so easy essentially to rip off someone's IP, to use AI to do whatever you want and seemingly get away with it. If you use YouTube, and if you're watching this, you will be using YouTube, you will have seen the sheer volume of AI slop that's been created, that people are making a quick buck off. People are watching it, people are being fooled by it. Another issue I've seen in terms of AI being used for bad is the sheer number of deep fakes, frauds perpetuated by deep fakes, people creating fake images, fake videos, fake voice calls of people to get money out of them, is going up more quicker than ever before. And if you're a technology enthusiast such as myself, you know what the signs are. You're less likely to fall for it. There's no guarantee you won't. But for normal people who aren't invested in tech, who aren't thinking about technology all the time, they have no idea what's out there. They don't realize that AI slop is some rubbish video made in a bedroom by someone who's just trying to get rich quick. They don't realize that if they get a video call from a relative asking them to send them money to a bank account because they're in trouble, that this is just someone in North Korea ripping them off for money. And a lot of education needs to take place, but nobody is really educating people on that thing. It makes me worried, and it makes me worried that the world is going to get even worse, and that Cory Doctorow's phrase is going to apply to more and more areas of our lives. Now, I'll give you an example of a way that I see will dictate how the next year, how 2026 goes. This, if you can see it on here, there's a bit of reflection. This is not a VHS video, it looks like one, but it is a Blu-ray, a 4K Blu-ray of the first series of Stranger Things. I was a big fan of Stranger Things when it came out, still am. I'm waiting till all of the episodes of the final series are out to watch them all in one very, 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 very long binge watch, and I'm hoping it'll be awesome. But I bought this when it came out, was very excited. They released season 1 and season 2 of Stranger Things on physical formats. And you can tell if you look at my backdrop or where I am, that I do like physical formats. I like buying records. I don't like having everything in the cloud. I don't like relying on a streaming service that means I own nothing. I like to own something that I like, such as this. This whole story of owning something you like could be on the way out almost completely. And that's because, if you've been following the news, Netflix is trying to buy Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world. They are huge. They own the rights to some incredible IPs, some incredible movies, and lots of incredible music as well. These are things like superheroes, you've got the DC universe, some of the Harry Potter franchises, some massive, massive movie franchises, some great properties. Even in the the comics world in particular worries me. I'm more of a Marvel man than DC when it comes to mainstream comics, but still, I want to see that all owned essentially by Netflix and maybe going away from even physical formats to eventually online digital comics, who knows. But the issue I have is I'm a big fan of movies. I like going to the cinema. I like watching films on a projector, for example. I like owning, like the Stranger Things video, I like owning the movies and the things that I like, the IP that I enjoy, owning a copy of it, and having something I can keep hold of. But you can be pretty sure if Netflix buys something like Warner's, it won't be the first consolidation of essentially the online world and the entertainment world. It will just continue and continue. You'll find that eventually we have no physical formats left. You can't, if you want to watch something, it's not on Netflix or it's not on a streaming platform, there will be no way to watch it. Now people will say, well, come on, back in the 70s and 80s, if the film wasn't on TV or at the cinema, you had no way to watch it. Obviously, when we had videotapes, you could rent those, but that wasn't a great way to do it. It wasn't like going to the cinema. And that's true. But I thought we'd advance when we could actually have things in our own home, where we'd actually would own things. We'd own things and not actually be licensing them from a big company. I know you are actually doing that when you buy a physical medium, but you do have the product. You can do what you want with it without them actually coming to your house and taking it away. But we're seeing that actually everything is going to be online. Everything is going to be AI dictated to us. Everything is something we do not own. We just pay and pay and pay, and the big companies get richer and they dictate what they want to do. So I'm wondering what's going to happen. So 2026, it's going to go one of two ways. The Netflix thing will be interesting because Donald Trump's got involved and who knows what it's going to lead to. By the way, if you haven't watched it yet, watch South Park. It is amazing. But 2026 could go in one of two ways. If this consolidation continues, we have the massive IPOs of essentially OpenAI, the massive IPOs of Anthropic. Technology becomes more and more consolidated in one place. Rich people get very, very rich. The tech bros become even more powerful than they are now. We essentially have an unelected by anyone elite who are kind of running the world in terms of their influence people just by using technology. People don't really take advantage, take any notice these days of a lot of the laws to regulate technology because AI can trample all over them. Think of things like IP, look how many things are ripped off by AI and it seems to just happen willy-nilly. But what's going to happen is either people will fight back and say, well, actually, enough is enough. We don't essentially want to be these sort of people who just, we're drones who essentially consume what we're told to consume. We have no rights in what we're happening. We're told we're going to have to be paid at a universal basic income one day or be replaced by AI as soon as the AI is more powerful than what the human can do. We'll either fight back on that or it's going to happen. And the world could be a very bleak place indeed. Now, as long as I've got my sort of Blu-ray player and my discs, I'll be able to watch them, I assume, but that won't last forever. But I don't like the idea of a world where we essentially are being told what to consume and something that we actually rely on, you get driven in, this is much the case with Cory Doctorow's treatise on it, a product or a service that you use and you think is very great, then slowly and slowly it becomes less about helping out the user, less about looking after the user, but more and more potentially about helping the shareholders, helping big business, helping the tech bros, essentially making sure that we are all essentially micro serfs. I've stolen that from a book from somewhere and I can't think where, but there we go. Anyway, interesting your view. This year I think it's been a bit of a write-off. 2025 has been very difficult for a lot of people, particularly in the technology world. I think it will get more difficult. For some, they've become very rich. AI has gone huge. Others are really finding that this is a place where maybe the world's not really ready for the sort of technology that we have. And maybe we're all going to die in a horrible, horrible heat wave because the amount of energy we're using may mean that we never actually crack the problem of climate change. But there we go. So yeah, pretty sobering. My prediction, I hope, is that there is a pushback. I think there will be a pushback. More and more people seem to be getting annoyed. More and more people seem to be taking virtual arms and fighting back against essentially the way that everything's being commoditized. Everything becomes a product. We become a product. But whether that continues or whether we just don't have enough power to do that, lots of people are just happy to consume whatever they watch on Netflix. There's a thing called second screen Netflix things. They talk about having films for second screen, which is basically you watch a movie, but the movie's designed that you can look at your phone at the same time, which I find awful since I like to sit and actually watch and consume a movie. But things like that kind of scare me. But maybe I'm just old school and a dinosaur and in the minority. After all, I am getting older and older by the day. Anyway, next year will be interesting indeed. I predict it will dictate what happens for the next 10 to 15 years. I think it's going to be one of the most important years in technology, in terms of big technology and the power of big technology that we have seen to date. Going way back to the wars with Microsoft essentially taking over the entire home computer market. So let me know what you think. Interesting what you see in the comments. Hopefully I will see you guys at some point, either in person or online. And I will do another video probably after Christmas, which is looming as we speak. So have a good Christmas when it arrives, or whatever you're celebrating. Have a great season, whatever festive season, and a good new year. 2026 is going to be a very, very interesting one, whatever you happen to be doing right now. So good luck. That's it for the moment. Take care. Bye-bye.